It all began with an arthropod mom telling a story about the Twits to her little child. The Twits have been married for 47 years but hated each other and everything around them as they always played dirty tricks on each other. The one thing they both loved was Twitlandia, their very own fun park, as they began building it from scratch and sent out flyers for the grand opening. Meanwhile, an orphan named Bisha and her best friend Bubsy saw the flyer as Bubsy was leaving with his new parents, so he suggested they go to Twitlandia before he leaves, so Bisha agrees. Just as Twitlandia was about to open, the government arrived and condemned it. This made the Twits furious, as it was the only thing that gave them joy, so they decided to take revenge. The Twits took possession of a truck filled with liquid hot dog as they decided to flood the town with it. Bisha was with Bubsy at the time when she looks through the window and spots the disaster. She also spots Mr. Napkin in danger and rushed to help. The Twits watched the news and were delighted with the havoc they caused. Back at the orphanage, Bisha watched as her friend Bubsy was making a presentation to his new parents stating how he was going to be a good kid if they adopted him, but they weren't convinced any longer as they spoke with Mr. Napkin, the director, saying that they no longer want to adopt the child because of the liquid hot dog incident that happened earlier, so they felt the child was contaminated. Bisha comforted Bubsy and said they were going to find out who did that to the city. They heard a loud sound, and on looking out, Bisha spotted the Twits hatching another plan, so she suspected them and told Bubsy that they will be going to Twitlandia after all, but this time for investigation. On getting there, Bisha and Bubsy spotted the hot dog truck. Bubsy knocked on the door, and they were greeted with violence as the Twits weren't expecting visitors. Bisha told the Twits of how they wanted to explore Twitlandia as the Twits were excited because they thought the orphans didn't hear about the health violations that made Twitlandia shut down, so they decided to show the kids around. Bisha used the opportunity to question them about the truck as the Twits revealed they stole it and filled the city water pipe with the hot dog and then flooded the city. Bisha had gotten all the information she needed and decided to leave with Bubsy. On the way, they spotted a family of mugglewumps speaking gibberish, but according to the story, kind-hearted children can be able to speak to animals, so after listening attentively, Bisha and Bubsy were surprised because they understood what the animals were saying as the little mugglewump told them of how the Twits imprisoned them as Bisha promised to free them. At that moment, the Twits appeared and made the mugglewumps face down and cry as Mrs. Twits revealed to the orphans that the mugglewumps' magical tears is what powers Twitlandia. With that, she sends the orphans on their way. It turns out Bisha had recorded everything with her secret camera and told Bubsy they were going to rescue the mugglewumps at night when the Twits gets arrested. At night, the Twits were happy to see themselves on the news again as their doorbell rang, and as they went to open the door, the police launched at them and arrested them. Bisha and Bubsy quickly sneak inside the Twits' home to find the key, but luck wasn't on their side. Meanwhile, the Twits were granted bail, and on getting out they were greeted with a large crowd who treated them like heroes. Well, it turns out that Tri-Spot, their town used to be a haven for tourism, but since the river dried up, tourists stopped visiting, and the town sunk into poverty, so some of them hoped that Twitlandia was going to bring back tourism. The Twits were cunning and decided to play along as they convinced the people around to bring all the money they have. The Twits got home and after eating, prepared for bed as Mr. Twit pressed a remote control. The orphans were on the bed at the time, and this made them descend to the basement where they saw dangerous items as the bed finally arrived at where the Twits were, and they slept on it. Bisha and Bubsy were hiding underneath the bed as they spotted the key on Mr. Twit beard and decided to take it. They managed to get the key as the Twits woke up and spotted them, but Bubsy pressed the remote, sending the bed up. The orphans quickly rushed and freed the mugglewumps as the Twits chased them. Bisha and Bubsy along with the mugglewumps got to the orphanage and began hatching a plan with other orphans there to deal with the Twits. The Twits on getting to the orphanage tricked Mr. Napkin into getting out of the orphanage with only his underwear, and they began heading upstairs to where the children are. On getting there, the orphans tricked the Twits into getting into a door thinking the mugglewumps were there, but it was a window, as they fell down into a basin filled with liquid hot dog. Bisha quickly rushed to lock the door as the Twits tried convincing her to open, stating they had a special offer for her. As she did, they informed her that they wanted to adopt her, but she stated her parents are coming back for her, which made them laugh, because they were once orphans like her too. They got closer, but Bisha was smart as she sprayed fire extinguisher, sending them flying. The orphans celebrated along with the mugglewumps, but while they were celebrating, the Twits were scheming something big. Bisha and Bubsy were watching TV along with the mugglewumps when they found out that Mr. and Mrs. Twit were running for mayor along with John, and they were having a debate. Mr. Twit showed them Twitlandia design and how he plans to make their town fun again, as Mrs. Twit stated how Bisha stole the mugglewumps, which would have made that possible, that if she becomes mayor, she will get them back. The Twits made John, one of their competitors, eat a gross cake to show his commitment, as Bisha suddenly arrives at the event stating how the Twits were lying, saying that she freed the mugglewumps and didn't steal them. But the Twits had already possessed the people's mind as they booed her. Meanwhile, John's stomach had started reacting to the gross cake, and this made his butt explode, affecting everyone there, but luckily, Bisha was able to get out on time. Bisha got home sad as Mama Mugglewump tried comforting her. Bisha's hand was bleeding a little, so Mama Mugglewump licked it, and it was healed as they possessed healing abilities. That night, the Mugglewumps sang a magical lullaby, and the children went to sleep. In the morning there was a loud bang, and on looking out, Bisha realized that John lost the election while Mr. and Mrs. Twit got the same number of votes, and they became co-mayors. And the first thing the Twits did as mayors was to wage war on the orphanage. The orphans were scared as Mr. Mugglewump released anxiety balls, and this gives Bisha an idea. The Twits had gathered the resident at the time and ordered them to attack, but Mr. Mugglewump released so much anxiety balls as it disrupts their charge and sends them running. The Twits, refusing to give up, tried getting in through the front door as Mr. Napkins wasn't having it and launched at them, sending them running. It turns out Mr. Napkin licked the foot of the magical toad that was rescued along with the Mugglewumps, and this made Mr. Napkins behave the opposite of himself. The news showcased how the Twits lost to orphans as Bisha stated she was never going to let them take the Mugglewumps. This made Mrs. Twit angry, but Mr. Twit was already hatching another plan of his own. Bisha was keeping watch that night for the Twits as the Mugglewumps told her to sound the alarm if the Twits come around. Later that night Bisha heard Mr. Napkin's voice through a walkie-talkie telling her that her parents saw her in the news and had come back for her. It was all Bisha always wanted as she didn't give it a second thought and rushed to the location, but it was a trap. It turns out the Twits used a voice changer to sound like Mr. Napkin and was able to trick her. They locked her in that building and continued with their plan. They gathered the residents of the town as they glued all the windows of the orphanage shut, and just like that, everyone joined hands, and they were able to move the orphanage according to the orders of Mayor Twits. Bisha was able to break out of the building and got to the orphanage only to realize it was gone. She didn't see anyone except for the magical toad who was able to advise her and make her see that the orphanage is her true family, as a family isn't just connected by blood. They're the people we care for and people that care about us. With this, they devised a means to rescue their family. The Twits, on the other hand, welcomed the residents to the reopening of Twitlandia, as the Mugglewumps were back supplying energy with their tears, while the orphans were adopted by the Twits and were forced to perform for the crowd. Bisha and the magic toad arrived at that moment as Bisha launched the magic toad on the Twits, and after a bit of a scuffle they both placed their mouths on the toad's legs and began behaving the opposite of themselves. The Twits were extremely kind now, and with their own hands, they freed the Mugglewumps and all of them escaped. On the way Bisha stopped and told them it wasn't over as the Twits will keep coming for them once the spell wears off, so they have to ensure they don't. The Twits, still under the toad's spells, revealed the truth to the residents, saying they never planned to make the town better, but to steal their money. The Twits, feeling remorseful, decided to blow up Twitlandia as the resident ran for their lives. The spell has worn off as the Twits woke up and were surprised at what happened. They spotted one of the Mugglewump and chased it, but it was only luring them inside their house, and as they got in, their heads were laced with a powerful glue. The orphans and Mugglewumps made their house look upside down, so the Twits put their heads on the ground and were trapped at that moment. Bisha and the others came out of hiding as they revealed that the Twits have been tricked once again. They left as they got back to the orphanage and rejoiced as they thought about the many ways the Twits were going to meet their end. This made the children lose their empathy and kind-heartedness, and they could no longer understand what the Mugglewumps were saying any longer. Meanwhile, the Twits were trapped there for a while as they slept off. Bisha and Bubsy came around at that moment and freed the Twits. The Twits woke up at that moment as Bisha stated how she forgives them, and also how they needed to get rid of hate. The words fell on deaf ears as the Twits chased them again, but they were able to escape. Mr. Napkin was able to return the orphanage back to its location, and sometime later the Mugglewumps sold their tears to multi-million-dollar company. As the company replaced fossil fuel with the tears, which was cleaner, the money gotten from the sales was used to restore the town river, therefore bringing back tourism to their town. The story was over as the child wanted to know what happened to the Twits. As for the Twits, they never really learned any lessons and continued playing tricks on each other, but on that fateful day, they played their one and final trick. If you love animations and movies, please subscribe to It's Mythical for more mind-blowing recaps like this. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.